Tonight, Blazing Petals makes its way to Pocono Raceway. The Pocono Mountains will be a good backdrop for tonight's coverage, and what should be an interesting night for the trucks here on Green Flag TV. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's coverage. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside the booth for tonight is James Newton with Dustin Ollis in the broadcast production suite here tonight, here on Green Flag. Tonight's going to be an interesting one from the triangle, the tricky triangle, if you will. Back to racing action after being off for Independence Day. 3 straight race weeks on each of the Sundays from this part of the month all the way to the end of July, James, which means for these drivers you have 3 unique challenges. You have here, you have Legacy Atlanta for the second trip to Hampton, Georgia, and you have Homestead, a part of this stretch of races before off for August the 2nd.
Yeah, it's definitely a handful of different types of tracks. Obviously, Pocono and Echo Park Speedway, quite the large venues there. Homestead, a little bit smaller and relatively flatter compared to these two, but still providing a unique challenge. And of course, the break before the run to the start of the chase.
Yeah, that's going to be at Chicagoland. Remember, when we start things out with the postseason run, where we'll have 16 drivers initially, brought down to 12, brought down to 8 for the final run for the championship, which will be 4 races. Chris Carroll is that driver at the top of the board coming into tonight looking very stable, or Taylor Butcher, Benjamin, and Dalton Kilroe. But you turn your attention towards the cut line. Realistically, there's about 5 people within a race or 2 of that mark. Larry Bell and Logan Wilson are ahead of it for now. But if Eddie Hagee makes some appearances enough in a row, if someone like Caleb Ellswick gets some consistency, there could be some pressure to get those 16 spots taken out of the hands of Wilson, or maybe 15th spot out of the way of Bell, but it requires attendance is the critical thing here, James. That's the big thing for a lot of those drivers. You're talking about drivers that have been very fast below that cut, that are in that 17 to 20 range, but haven't consistently been at the track.
Yeah, it is pure and simple. You have to show up in order to proceed up into the higher echelons of the chase, basically being involved in the chase, and we see how close it is, especially those bottom 3 there. Eddie Hagee, Caleb Ellswick, and Cody Gibson, who made up 3 spots after Talladega, get themselves into the top 20.
Mind you, there's also the team aspect of this championship also. Remember, the solo spin, if you're the lowest number as a team on average, guess what? You get the team championship. MFRD still has that lowest average. They've consistently held that after a very strong stretch of races in the middle of the season. Blackhawk Motorsports is averaging about a 7.8 for their finishing position as a team on the number. 5 Kings about a 9, and then It's and Out Esports Group is averaging about a 12. In other words, if MFRD has a few bad races for their whole team in a row, and Blackhawk has some good races, they can take away that team title championship lead. It's going to require a big swing of team average, though. But as we prepare for tonight's action, we have less than 5 minutes before we go rolling for the race in of itself here tonight. It's going to get interesting for these teams with a track like this, because it's going to be critical in theory to find a way to maybe work together with the way the draft works, similar to that of Super Speedway, but not in a pack format. It's hard to pass here. A lot of these teams may get shuffled on your average, James.
Yeah, definitely can go up in the air, especially when we're still having a look at the team standings and just how close it is up at the top. It's not just trying to slip from, 7th to 6th. It really can be tricky, and trying to stay up front, just like with tonight, trying to stay up front is going to be a challenge.
I want to remind everyone that this series is brought to you by Ohio and Indiana Roofing, a premier roofing contractor. Their sister company to the Bruns Construction Enterprise, specialized in commercial and industrial roofing, and are committed to accommodating the unique needs of each client and offering creative solutions to meet those needs. They are a team of individuals who work for the same common goals: professionalism, quality, and service. Services offered include preventative maintenance, re-roof new construction, infrared scanner, green roof solutions, metal, retrofit, emergency repair services, and more. Please visit oiroofing.com for more information. As we've been having these discussion points here for this evening, we are in the midst of qualifying for what's going to be an 80-lap race tonight. Track position, if you want stage points early, going to be critical, because stage 1 is only 12 laps. Then you only get to 36 before you end stage 2, and that's a 44-lap run to the end. So, in other words, if you want stage points, you better qualify well. And remember, fuel run, expect to be only about 20 laps or so here tonight with the 65% fuel tank.
Yeah, definitely it's going to be a sprint right at the start. And as you said there, Justin, 20 laps of fuel means that the drivers couldn't burn them in 12 laps if they wanted to. Right on board here with John Perkins in the 33. And full commitment is what the drivers need around this circuit. As you said, the Tricky Triangle has 3 distinct different levels of banking on each of the corners and a whopping straightaway as well. This is quite the interesting track.
Perkins, one of the final drivers to put up a qualifying time. Same for Mark Arthur and Cody Gibson. Everybody else is either not taking the racetrack or is looking good. Look at that. Perkins second, but Gibson to the pole. Both of them jumped up to the mid-55s to higher 55s. A 55.781 set by Gibson's your pole over Perkins right now. Mark Arthur is the last driver who has a chance to take a time here.
In that quite tough-looking My Little Pony livery. It actually looks quite nice. Obviously not the most popular of NASCAR Truck Series liveries, but it does look quite nice considering that they're leaning into that aesthetic.
Last year was Barbie, this year My Little Pony. It's 13th for Mark Arthur on the first lap. Don't think there's going to be enough time to get a second lap in. Cody Gibson, John Perkins, for their references, have increased their lap times, or at least Gibson did, with a 55.697. So the 7 is on the pole, as Mark Arthur is the last driver even on the racetrack in the final few seconds. He will not make it back hearing. He'll be a couple laps shy. But we can definitely tell you one thing's for certain. Your pole award's basically secure here, James. Two of your last drivers put on a time on the track, jumping to the top of the board.
Yeah, it could definitely be down to track evolution, being the last person on the track able to set that time. And it really seems like just right at the last second, basically getting stolen away from the drivers that were currently occupying those spots. And of course, Cody Gibson going even faster, so potentially 2 pole position times set by the Flamin' Cheetos machine.
Absolutely. Again, your pole award is brought to you by Shortstop Cody Gibson on the pole tonight alongside John Perkins. The top 2 separated by about the 10th or so. Kyle Wellman will start in row number 2. Alongside him tonight, Ryan Wash makes an appearance in the 86 car. That truck will start in front of Dalton Kilrow. And also making an appearance tonight, Rick Thompson. That 76 machine will have a 25 on its side. 25 in sim. Then it's Brian Zimmerman. We'll start off in 7 tonight. Taylor Butcher Benjamin rounds out your top 8 starting spots here this evening. Your top 10 concludes with Tanner Marr in 9th and Cody Miller for Team Tito Racing, same as the 7, is in the top 10.
We have Chris Carroll from Canada in the 99, starting about 4/10 back. In 11th position, 12th is the 43 of Larry Bell. We have Mark Arthur in that My Little Pony number 12. 13th, 14th is Brian Dees in the 17 machine. Back to 15th, Trevor Harmon occupies that spot in the 16. And in 16th, Miguel Gomez-Godet in the 89. 17th is Levi Allen in the 79 alongside Dustin Ping in the 81. And 19th is Chris Berg in the 66. The 67 of Brad Collins lines up in 20th.
21st goes to Scotty Stevens, 7/10 off the pole, with Brad Lawson down in 22nd in the 85 truck. Then it's Noah Van Hout will start in 23rd. Next to him, William Bruton. 25th goes the way of Gord Miller. His truck does have a face on the back. Mike Massengill will look to try and not stare at its eyes in 26. Michael Kelly starts in 27 tonight in the Bunny Bread machine. Michael Boone in 28. And one hour driver took a time tonight. That was Earl Hall in the 57-second time bracket. 3 drivers didn't set times. Aaron Bockover, who's not in session. Fred Thompson, who moves up to 30th. And Alex Minette, who is also not in session, was set to start towards the tail. Top to bottom, your running order, as mentioned, your pole award going the way of Cody Gibson is brought to you by Shortstop. For over 20 years, they've been serving Northridge's favorite pizzas, subs, and more. Their locally and family-owned restaurant takes pride in creating delicious meals that bring people together. With that being said, these drivers getting all prepared for tonight's action. Your keys to victory if you want to win this one, James.
Well, we spoke about the shortness of the first stint in particular, but it really is going to be a battle for position right up at the front. And I think that mistakes are going to be more costly than the high risk. Really going for it right at the beginning. I think that it is all going to come down to this start, how clean they are. Trying to see if we have a clean run all the way through the 12 laps of stage 1. And I do not see anyone working together here, Justin. I think this is going to be an every truck for themselves situation, just trying to claw their way up to the front.
Happy to have you with us for tonight's coverage of Blazing Pedals here on Green Flag TV. The Pocono Mountains have motors roared for the summertime. Cody Gibson, John Perkins on your front row. It's 5 Kings versus Speed Mafia. Green flag is out. We're underway from Pocono. No incidents to start things off as they make their way up towards turn 2. Single file for the first 3 spots. Kilrose the first side-by-side with Rick Thompson. Down into the corner, Cody Miller very low. Dustin Payne up high.
Already going 3 wide on this opening. There's about 2 or 3 sections that look like they're trying to flirt with 3 wide action. Pick up Miguel Gomez-Gudet. Back up at the front. Again, very tame so far. And Cody Gibson trying to pull a gap, and it looks like it's working at the moment. But it can be very difficult to lead here as the draft is so important.
It's going to get interesting, though, the discussion possibly popping up here with Team Tito's versus 5 Kings. Majority of those drivers with the Team Tito machines, some of them are in the 5 Kings chat, others are not. We'll sort that out for later. Regardless here, all the drivers are working their way in a choo-choo train, and this is kind of the norm in Pocono. It's almost a draft law. It's so hard to find the clean air you need to actually make a pass here when if you step out of line, you lose a few miles an hour.
Sticking with the other trucks. So important. Now we have a bit of a move going on here. Gomez-Gudet getting up in front of the 81. That's Dustin Ping just outside the top 10. Meanwhile, Cody Gibson with the fastest lap of the race. There it is right there. 55.6. We are in the wheel tracks. Does Dustin Ping have anything for the 89 who's trying to go a little bit high? Potentially cut back. And we saw just how much speed you lose even through the corners as the 89 now gets re-passed by the 81. Just stepping out of line for a moment there, JP, and you lose that spot again.
Exactly, and this is going to be kind of the game you expect to see here with this stage. Just so difficult to actually make a move. Dalton Kilrose, one of those examples where he's trying with Ryan Walsh here. But again, watch this run. Outside, draft picked up by Walsh. No draft effect coming up from in front of Kilroe. Kilroe's got to just go back in line. The best way to get the job done is hope somebody burns their tires off, and that's a bit harder to do at Pocono where these tires are pretty stiff.
Yeah, not the deepest of bankings. Obviously, each profile is different around three-corner layout. There's a couple of trucks there. 6th, 7th, and 8th. Into the wall just a little bit. Nothing to write home about, but it will cost you some speed. Zimmerman and Taylor Butcher Benjamin duking it out.
Right here, a couple drivers having some contact. This includes drivers like Carroll and Berg. There's Berg up in the wall. Winner last time out for the series. Both his race wins on super speedways. Now he's got significant damage he'll have to get worked on. No fast repairs, remember, in the series for those just tuning in. But we are starting to see the packs break up here. The top three are breaking away from 4th, 5th, and 6th, who are breaking away from 7th on back. Berg is in for damage repair.
Yeah, not a great start there for Berg. Meanwhile, John Perkins coming back about a 10th and a half or so toward Cody Gibson. So the front is ebbing and flowing. And we're only 5 laps into this, but even so, we're still kind of running out of time when it comes to trying to get back to the number 7 machine. Meanwhile, this 2x2 action is opening the door. Opportunities galore here for drivers a little bit further back. As you said, Justin, trying to wait and see if someone uses up their stuff or has a mistake like we saw with Berg. And trying to take any opportunity they can get.
Speaking of pit stops, Scotty Stevens coming in. Up from about the middle of the field, he is down, and not sure why. He had no damage. Is this any? Would this be a play? I'm not sure what we'll see from that. But already, 2 drivers coming down. Berg is yet to come out of pit road. But his situation, Stevens, in the midst of his service, will the leader stay single file? It is tires being taken by the 22.
Potentially trying to flip the stage, maybe trying to figure that out. I mean, obviously we're only 6 laps away, but we're also halfway through this stage, as it is absolutely flying by. And Stevens still in the pits at the moment. So you have a look here at Dalton Kilrow, trying to have a look down the inside of Ryan Wash.
See how much some of these drivers are trying to figure out a way to move ahead here. All right, past the halfway point on the stage. Mind you, you can make passes on the bottom, but it takes a lot of work. Stevens and Berg are both out. Berg technical issues. Stevens seems to be planned. Looks like something happening to the 22. So our first 2 DNFs already come in within a lap of each other.
Ryan Wash there, the 86. Yeah, the left front of the 86, Ryan Wash there. Having a bit of a scary moment. The rear kind of jumping around as they got that left front over the lip of the apron. I believe that was the steepest banking we have on the circuit. And unsettling the platform there. And we're also seeing Cody Gibson here, JP, going extremely shallow before approaching 1. Really feeling the heat now. They're going to have... Again, going to dip that wheel. Oh, we're all over that. And excellent catch there.
You have to have good car control / truck control, if you will. Or, if you watch some various viral clips, this is a truck car after all, apparently. That's at least in the opinions of one IndyCar driver who made a truck series start at Lime Rock this past weekend. But in all seriousness, though, it takes a lot of nuance to get it done right at Pocono. The throttle points, you carry a lot more throttle into the corner than you do compared to the Cup car where you carry a little bit more roll time. Here, it's a lot more on throttle, barely any brake points. Look at some of the dancing around up at the front of the field. Kilrow, he's looking for 3rd. Wash trying the inside of Thompson. And Kilrow slides his way clear for the P3 spot. Pushes Woman in the wall in the effort. Thompson gets collided with Wash. There goes the 25 into the inside wall for first caution of the race. And this could get interesting for the stage as a result.
Everybody immediately looks up to see how many laps are left. And trying to see if we're going to have any more green flag laps before the end of the stage. I'm not sure. It's going to have another replay here. So again, off the wall. Oh, and just tries to get back in line. Just looking for a space there. 25 was there. It's so tricky when you've got, again, looking for opportunities, trying to turn any kind of issue into a gain for yourself as opposed to trying and waiting, backing off. You really have to go for it. There's not a lot of time to figure out what you're going to do there. So potentially 25 coming across, hoping for an opportunity there. And we are just sat on the inside, unfortunately. And this is probably going to take some of the pressure off Gibson here, who's looked strong so far, been able to soak up the pressure, kind of taking that middle outside line on the exits of some of the corners. Perkins kind of able to get a bit underneath, but nothing side by side going on at the front.
And race control is making it clear you have to keep in mind with the way this is going, you can either take the tires now, race control said, or you can gamble on the strategy for the stage points. What would you do, James? Do you prioritize points, or do you prioritize future positioning for stage 2?
I think I prioritize points. I think that would be the game plan for now. Obviously, going to be a 24-lapper, all the way up to lap 36 for stage 2. And I think that here you would just go for the stage, see what you can do. I think if you are outside of the point, and let's see here. So we've got everybody coming in. Oh, there's somebody bailing right at the last second. That was, I think that's Kilrow. Yeah, it was 41. And looks like a majority down pit road.
I'm surprised about Gibson, though. He's one of those who needs points, isn't he? Yes, he is. He's down 57. So he's losing a chance to get at least 10 points maybe there. We'll find out how this goes. Chris Carroll happened the points we're remembering tonight. He's one of the drivers, of course, in the peel down. Dalton Kilrow, third in the points, is the first to stay out. A lot of two tires. Bell, Zimmerman, Dees, Carroll, Arthur, a lot of others taking two.
Interesting call there. Taylor Butcher Benjamin currently running in third in the 10 truck, who, if you look at it from a certain angle, doesn't necessarily need points. Currently sat second in the standings, has a healthy margin, and obviously we still have plenty of racing to do before the chase begins in 6 events time. But it is a bit of a interesting call for someone like the 10, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, taking the points, and the 7 of Cody Gibson not. So maybe thinking long game, maybe thinking what's best come the end of the race for the big points. But it looked like it potentially could have been on a platter for the 7, and I guess they have the idea of bigger fish to fry later on.
Indeed. So it's going to be an interesting one now. No further action involving the 86. They have extended the caution. And going to have to see what happens here, because this is the thing. You know, I don't think we're getting restarted here, James, because the extension, I don't think so at all. I think that's the gamble that they just explained to everyone else is, and why some of these drivers have come on down, is you're going to have to pit during stage 2 if you're part of the stay out club that just took the points here for this upcoming time by.
Yeah, it looks like Larry Bell, Zimmerman, Dees, Carroll, Gibson will inherit the lead of stage 2, potentially. So we're hearing the 86 with an EOL, potentially.
Yep, now they've given clip truck. So they originally wrote no further action, and then they give end of longest line after the reviews from Thomas Freitas as your race control today. So, again, it was tight call, close quarters racing. Remember, Rick Thompson nearly hit the wall in that situation. I think actually was part of those on the bump up with the wall contact for Wellman. That could have gone either way, actually, when thinking about it, because Thompson bounced off the wall, in theory, or almost did. But Wong, you also have the 86 who came up with the situation. It could go either way. But race controls decided this is the way to go. We're coming up to get the one to go as they come to the end of the stage. Race control is making the clarification here for anybody thinking on coming down after taking the stage points. So Dalton Kilroe will stay on the racetrack and hope for a caution flag, because we are running to lap 36, remember. It'll be him and Kyle Wellman, the stage 1 and 2 spots. Butcher Benjamin, Harmon, Lawson, Boone, Bell, Zimmerman, Dees, and Carroll, your top 10.
Quite an interesting end to the stage there, obviously because of the short amount of laps. Any kind of incident could potentially basically end the stage from about the halfway point on. And we saw some interesting, again, in third position, particularly Taylor Butcher Benjamin, currently second in the standings, staying out and collecting those points. Whereas, so we talked at length about Cody Gibson and others that are either around, and in the sevens case, who was on pole position earlier, Cody Gibson needing points about as desperately as anybody. Obviously had a fantastic result at Talladega, moving up 3 spots in the standings and right behind 17th and 18th. I think they're split by 9 points, are 17th, 18th, and 19th, just outside that bubble. So it really is all to play for. And I think Cody Gibson wants the whole thing here from here on out. I think they gave up stage 1 to allow themselves a better chance, better foothold on this race come the latter stages.
And potentially could be an interesting spot with the fuel for everyone who just pit anyway, because if the predictions are correct, some of those in the field tonight have 20. You're a couple laps short, if that is indeed the case here. So this may be important, because if we went the normal time at the end of the stage, wouldn't be as big of a talking point, if at all. Only need to save us a lap of gas. Not now. Let's see what happens here with Kilroe leading the field. Stage 2 set to go. Green flag is out. We're underway. Trevor Harmon getting the push for Boone. The back of the field's tried its hardest to get the caution. It's not going to happen. Mike Massengill had hard contact because Fred Thompson never went on the gas. We had a shifter issue, in fact. And everyone else makes its way through turn 1.
Tons of congestion there. Oh! Somebody spearing off.
That's Fred Thompson again. Fred Thompson does not bring the caution out. That truck is demolished. That might be worth a look, because he had a misshift up before the start and finish line. That's why Massengill, you see right here, will slam hard into the back bumper. Nearly takes out the other Thompson. And then the 80 loses it out of turn 1. Caution flag is out. We're losing out of 3.
Well. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Here's Thompson. And the entire field being told to come to a stop. The 80 is done. And the caution coming out. Here in the 4 and the 83 amongst those involved. That's Tanner Marr, along with William Bruden. That would be some of the names in that situation. Here, and it's going to be on the 4, because remember the term come up from before we talked for the 86? This one's a bit more clear cut.
Oh, down on the apron, on the grass, then slides way up. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, that
using all the racetrack and then some.
Yeah, there's not much higher you can go if you're William Brunin. Yeah, he was really trying to make it 3 wide, was he not? It did not work. He nearly flipped.
Look, you didn't bite more. You're exactly right. That was quite close. Of course, there was a space for that middle lane section to go 2 wide. So there was a bit of a gap. You can slot back in. Obviously, it is very tricky with all the turbulent air. Not the highest of bankings through that section as well. But again, side-by-side contact. And now the leader here. Oh, a handful. And again, another late move. So Kyle Wellman faked me out twice there. Stayed out after faking coming in earlier on. And now Wellman dives in. Got as late as possible.
Everyone rolling down the lane, and I don't think that's a big surprise, actually, to see this many people pit as Wellman misses pit stall. This does, in theory, with the pace laps, get you just about to the end of the stage, maybe with a tiny bit of save. That's why we're seeing so many just top-offs here, like Carroll, like Dees, like Perkins, and so many others. But for these drivers up front, they've got to be hoping either for another caution in the case of Butcher Benjamin, or possibly so if you're Zimmerman, Bell, Gibson, and Earl Hall, because can you make it if you are 2nd through 5th? That's a question mark. Butcher Benjamin obviously would not be able to make it 36 with the fuel limit today. His gas can run out in the next 10-15 laps.
Yeah, I'm trying to see when they would be coming in for their first pit stop of the day. All of this Chaos has promoted the 10 up to the front. Trick is, when do they pull the trigger for, again, most likely, I mean, obviously not going to be able to make it to the end of this stage. I mean, they would just be forced by just the fuel. It's just going to be, I mean, maybe a pair of laps, 3 laps, 4 laps, something like that. And that's going to be it for the 10. They're just going to basically run it dry, come in, I assume, going to top off and take 4, and then just run it really deep into the middle of stage 2, potentially. Well, no, they'd actually be right near the end of the stage, so they're basically kind of splitting the 2 stages in half.
So many different ways you can go on the strategy as Arthur, Rick Thompson, Brad Collins all top off. It's Butcher Benjamin, Zimmerman, Bell, Gibson, Hall, the top 5. Chris Carroll, first in the top offs, followed by Dees, Perkins, Levi Allen. Then it's Kilroe amongst the top 10. This time, Kilroe was the first to take 4 tires. Not going to matter too much on the difference, though, in theory. Oh, by the way, you may have noticed the different driver profiles throughout the course of tonight, the various pictures and headshots. Those were all provided by many of the competitors as the new website for the series launched during the recent break. So there's a lot of opportunities for drivers to track using the BlazingPedalsRacing.com website. Just where they may be in the standings, how the power rankings look, track how many different winners there are, or the biggest feature, BP Fantasy, where if you're some of these drivers, you get to see and earn various points to try and battle for who can prove who you can get. Next week, drivers can pick themselves. That was something race admins got clarification on. But there's opportunities to have a little bit of fun competitor-wise, to battle on for a fantasy championship as well as a real one.
Yeah, quite the interesting call there, betting on yourself, literally. I'd find that relatively, well, it's quite amusing, obviously, because you want to do well for yourself in general, but in terms of letting yourself down fantasy-wise, I could see that upsetting somebody as well as we're about to get going here.
Green flag is out, we're back underway. Butcher Benjamin off on the gas, Zimmerman in second. Oh, and something happened at the back. Dustin Ping Apparently, amongst those who've seen something happen in front because he had contact involving the 89 truck, one of the newcomers. He absolutely slammed the back end of Massengill.
Yeah, the 89 tried to get going there and hit the wall again. Potentially some right side damage on that truck, and it's riding the wall still, trying to get it off the wall, trying to peel it off. We're gonna have this oh my goodness, bent that bumper right in.
And all this is to say, as we work our way with less than 18 to go, some of the drivers like Wellman trying to get the battles on. And it goes with Perkins. Nearly close call there. And it'll slide on by in the 42. One of the drivers involved in the earlier contact. That was Bruden. And our purple truck and Larry Bell. He's on his way to the inside, you see, trying to move his way to third.
Bell looking quite good at the moment there. Cody Gibson hitting the front. 10 truck falling back in behind. Don't think they'll be too worried about that there. You see this gaggle of Zimmerman, Carroll, and Bell trying to figure out third position. They're all in a line, sort of. They're still slinging. They're slinging these trucks here, JP. These do not look stuck. And again, the right front. We're seeing the drivers having to peel these trucks off the wall sometimes, almost like the truck's kind of getting stuck to the wall, it seems. Kind of getting drugged to the outside once they make contact. And when they try to right the ship, they go flying to the left side of the track.
And with that being said here, you have to be willing to be aggressive if you want to make these spots up. Carroll, one of those that's been trying to play different strategies here, now up to the top three. Zimmerman nearly got squished in the wall. Wellman lucky to avoid contact, and he is moving. He's one of those who took tires under the previous caution flag. That was his first pit stop of the day. He's already up to fourth. He's the highest up out of that strategy situation.
The drivers would definitely be trying to keep an eye on how people with good tires, 4 news, 2 outside tires, or old tires, they're going to be monitoring that as best they can, trying to feed information across their team to see which way this event will be leaning. Got to make the right call at the right time. Carroll still in fourth after that mistake. Meanwhile, looking back here, John Perkins up at the front earlier on, still hanging on to a top 10 at the moment. And the only car in the entire field using that inside line this time, right?
All of them rumble their way past the quarter-way mark of the race in itself. Brian Dees amongst those involved in some incidents during qualifying. Still qualified amongst the top 12 or so, but the 17 taking its time to pick up spots. All while the 86 is making up some good ground after their penalty, back to 18th. By the way, race leader's gone. More than a second, Cody Gibson's broken the draft.
The 7 really is hustling at the moment, and this battling's not going to help. Obviously, Kyle Wellman trying to get around, trying to get better position, and now Taylor Butcher-Benjamin coming back around the outside. And does Wellman fall back in place? Yes, they do. Carroll going with them, and to try to do it all over again. It seems like it's quite, I was going to say easy, it seems quite sensible to just hang around the outside, get a good exit, and it seems relatively easy to defend from a car getting a good run on the inside. Obviously, these trucks trying to give each other a bit of room at this point in the race, but come the later stages, the later spots, we have a little bit of a connection thing there for the 10. 42 getting another run. Let's see how the high side treats the 10 this time around.
Butcher Benjamin's not getting the caution he needs right now, to say the very least. Yes, right now there is a chance. With him falling now to third, I should say, he could still stay on the lead lap with the pit stop. You have to be within 7 seconds or so of the race leader to get that distinction. But you lose so much track position in theory with this call. It's a risky play, but it is a play if it works in the next few laps here, that Butcher Benjamin ends up being in the top 5, because there's a lot of people that would likely come back down pit road again.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, all the while, the 10 still trying to get settled. Now we are seeing a little bit more overtaking here. Drivers on different lines here, trying to add a bit of risk to try and get that reward. The 41 almost going 2 for 1 there. And again, we're seeing the drivers trying to come out of that first corner. Again, somebody way in the background. Didn't quite tell who that was. And a whole lot of a swap going on there.
Yeah, we've seen some issues there with Miller, by the way, I think you're referring to. Let's see what happened. This is Gordon Miller in the wall. And that wall slam will add a little bit of damage to deal with here for the next little bit. Oh, wow. So we work our way to 12 laps to go in the stage. Things looking ever more calm, it feels like. It seems like one of those races where we'll see strategies start to cause a little bit of back and forth here, James. But again, track position's been king for those who've been able to find it here. Kilrow, he's trying to make the move on the 10 still. Going very low to try and make this move. Able to jump up to 3rd.
41 currently the fastest truck on track, within about half a second of Wellman. I was going to say if they can get a little bit of help, might be able to get up to the 42, but I don't think there's going to be any help involved, as the 41 looking quite strong at this stage. Meanwhile, looks like we've got Taylor Butcher Benjamin hitting pit road.
That was expected with the fuel situation. We'll see how things work out for him later. But for now, not going to have a chance to get some stage points, obviously. Allen still holding on to the 79 meanwhile. Makes a little wall contact, but able to get clear as Bell zips on front of him. Levi Allen making one of the rare appearances. A lot of people tonight making some of their first, or if not first couple starts this season. Many of the drivers tonight that qualified in this evening had 1 or 2 previous starts. Allen was one of those that did get a top 5 in his previous start. And by the way, Butcher Benjamin off the pit road, but the point being here, James, a lot of people, for whatever reason, wanted to race Pocono tonight.
It's an interesting track. It's got a lot of different characteristics, lots of character as well. And it's something that is challenging. It's also, and I mean, not to be rude, it is massive. It's 2.5 mile tri-oval. It really is something quite serious. And you can see this onboard's fantastic. We are absolutely flying, and these straightaways are enormous, and they go on for so long. And you chuck it into a different corner each time, and you know, but when I say different corner, I'm talking, oh my goodness, big moment there right in front of us. Harmon going to try to pick up a couple spots here potentially. Massengill getting a little bit of a swap on, and they are well wide out there.
A few drivers getting a little bit awkward with their moments here. Lead still separated by almost 2 seconds, but look at these two. Wellman getting the push from a friend. Kilrow, for whatever reason, did not join many of the drivers in the same box here this evening, but still trying to help out that 42. They need to figure out a way to get at least a couple seconds, a couple tenths gained per lap, have any chance to get back to the 7s draft here. As we see some of the others battling. Massengill, he's been hit so many times tonight, he still have a chance for the top 10 here on the stage.
20 looking quite resilient there for Blackhawk. Currently on the outside of Brian Dees. Okay, we're just hanging back. Apologies, on board with Brian Dees there in the 17. Trying to get our way up into the top 10, and the driver's just jockeying for position. Very, very close out there. I feel like, JP, they're getting closer and closer with each move. Either they're becoming more comfortable, or they're becoming more confident, or they're just getting sick and tired of going too wide and just trying to get this move done. So kind of depends on where they are on track or which part of the grid they are working with. But it does seem to get a little more feisty with each lap.
Definitely seems like with some of the drivers, they're getting a little bit more impatient. Like that Sen right there. Trying to hope to clear. Didn't get it. 3 wide for a moment. Trevor Harmon, still 3 wide. Van Hout gets squeezed. And somehow, they're all able to keep it straight.
Losing out big time here. No, Van Hout trying to get back up into. Meanwhile here, for second position, this is Wellman down the inside. Apologies, Kilrow down the inside of Wellman. They head into 1. That 41 is hustling.
Must be a feeling that the 41 might have a little bit more pace here to try and close up. They lost 3/10 since they tried connecting. All that's to say, the Team Tito machine of Cody Miller, he's out of the preferred choo-choo train, looking to jump his way back into the cargo cars, and does as Payne blocks off Allen. Look at the back of the field, meanwhile. All these green machines continuing to not have too much give and take with under 10 to go on the stage.
They're really duking out here. It's really tight stuff there. So Larry Bell trying to find a bit of breathing room at the head of this group there. Trevor Harmon now takes over lead of this particular race. Now having a look here at Brian Zimmerman in the 28. The outside, Perkins deciding to try and get in line, just enough space. They head into the far side of the circuit. Larry Bell again. This is all for points here. This is the last points on track here, JP.
Who gets it is the question here. Coming up to 5 to go in the stage at the line. Bell currently holding on to it, but here comes Ryan Walsh. 3 wide underneath Harmon. At 86, already involved in one incident earlier. That's why he's had to come to the field. And the tactically inferior racing machine looking to find a way to pass by the 43. And just about will. Will there be enough Mo in it to pass on by 2?
Does Harmon fancy a look down the inside? I don't think they're going to. And potentially just trying to settle for second in this fight. Oh no, there is a bit of a gap there. So Ryan Walsh does have something for everybody at the moment. Now gets to go to the high side, and there's more attacking down low. This may let the 86 get away.
86 has a good opportunity here. Bell leaned on by Boone. Pitting at the front. Brian Zimmerman, Cody Gibson are flipping the stage. They're coming in.
Cody Gibson is going for the lead, basically not the lead, the win of this race. Cody Gibson is uninterested in stages. Cody Gibson is interested in the big one at the end of the race. And it's that is about as apparent as it gets there, about as blatant as it gets. And that 7 machine has shown some serious pace. And meanwhile, this is not done either.
Yeah, some of these drivers just not being as patient. They need to be back here. Arthur Munsos, who's had a quieter night, back here. You have Mike Massengill that all of a sudden has gone from battling for the stage points to falling down the order. He's in the wall, in fact. Rick Thompson's recovered his way past him back to 17th. More drivers are pitting. And this is coming up to pit road close next time. So that's basically the last chance you realistically have. Ryan Walsh and Larry Bell were the only two that time.
Wash put in all that work, all that hard effort to get around all those cars. Probably felt really nice, but then has to bail out of it for now. Trying to get the track position for the coming final stage, the final 44 laps of this 80-lap event. And I think that these packs of trucks are playing nice relatively, but we are not... We're getting kind of spoiled here when it comes to how many moves they're pulling here at Pocono. They are less and less in line with each passing lap, and it looks like Wellman closing up well within half a second of Kilrow.
Yeah, Kilrow thinks in a decent spot here. You see some of the yards like these. That 17 machine could very well have a solid chance for the championship. Could be an interesting one later on in the year. But one of the drivers that's been close to getting in the top 5, yet to surprisingly get a top 5 this season in 17 despite its efforts.
Certainly bossing that kind of midfield pack at the moment. Speaking of bossing it here, Kilrow's pulled out another 2/10 or so. Almost doubled the gap to the 42 of Wellman. Dalton really pushing right at the end. I'm assuming Wellman's probably turned up the pace as well, so Kilrow's got to run away. And it's looking good for the 41.
Currently holding onto the gap on the final time around in this stage as we get ready to reward some points here from Pocono before the 44-lap final stage. Kilrow keeping the gap over Wellman by 0.6 of a second. Here there might have been an incident going on the racetrack. We stay green though. That's involving Earl Hall. That is indeed slow. He just pulled to the side. Race will continue with the green-white checker flag this time for one Dalton Kilrow, who gets it done over Kyle Wellman, Chris Carroll, John Perkins, Dustin Payne, Cody Miller, followed by Levi Allen, Trevor Harmon, Noah Van Hout, and Michael Boone, all in the top 10 at the time of the green-white checker flag. And to stage 2, just like that. A reminder, as we work our way to start stage 3, tonight's action is brought to you by Ohio and Indiana Roofing, a premier roofing contractor. Their sister company to the Bruns Construction Enterprise, specializing in commercial and industrial roofing. They're committed to accommodating the unique needs of each client, and in turn offering creative solutions to meet those needs. They're a team of individuals who work for the same common goals of professionalism, quality, and service. Services offered include preventative maintenance, re-roof new construction, infrared scanner, green roof solutions, metal, retrofit, emergency repair services, and more. Please visit oiroofing.com for more information. So we are under caution for the stage, and this will mean by the time we get back going, going to be a close one stop on the gas, likely one stop, should say. Do have a couple drivers struggling to get around the track. Brad Lawson and William Bruden having issues. Let's see what happened on this replay. This is Earl Hall. Think people are running out of gas here, James? Has to be.
Well, we said potentially leaning toward the one stop. Yeah, there's just nothing there.
That's 22. So, I don't know if you can even say one stop now if you're running on a 22.
Well, I believe it was the 10 that was, I think it was Taylor Butcher Benjamin that went, I believe it was about 24, maybe 25 laps, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 25. And obviously, you know, some of those under caution as well, but able to play that safely and seem to kind of have that in hand. And we were speaking to them off air just before the race, and they said that it was probably, again, similar to Indianapolis, probably about 20 laps or so on a tank. But again, you're going to have to play it just right. You have to be just on the right side of that 20. We see everybody piling in.
And this is expected for a lot of the drivers to remain about 23, just barely, hearing on the radio. Some of the drivers were at 0.2 gallons on their fuel tanks here. So you better get to saving. Ryan Wash does not pit. This is interesting to say the least here on the strategy, James, that someone as guarantee themselves a two-stop here on the racetrack, maybe hoping for chaos, has to be the case here.
Yeah, I think they're just looking to, I mean, honestly, I was going to say looking to do whatever, but there's no control in that situation. You are not in control of that. You have to hope. You have to expect something to go awry, which can. We've seen, we've been under full course yellow earlier on, and we've seen, again, as we've said, it gets a little testier, a little bit more action going on, and we also saw, as at the end of the stage there, how close it was on fuel. And not that that would pull out a full course yellow, but those kinds of calamity do tend to start happening more often at the end of a race when drivers are really starting to try and cement their position, really trying to make sure that they are where they want to be come the end of the race to fight for the overall win, or at least get into some decent points. And so the 86 is going to be looked at if anything happens, if we have any issues at all that, of course, don't involve Ryan Wash. That's the other problem, right? Is you're hoping for potentially a full course yellow or something along those lines, but hopefully it's not you.
Hopefully so. And a lot of drivers clutching, coasting here. Not too many topping off here, though, with this caution period, as someone's running out of gas, or it is letting multiple people go at least. Remember, this was a closed pit road situation for Brad Lawson. Yoel has to be the case for the 85 with a closed pit. He'll go to the back. Top offs are Arthur and Bell, who should be good to go, definitely. Now as we'll restart with 40 to go. So resetting your top 10, it's Wash, Kilroe, Carroll, Wellman, Perkins, Zimmerman, Payne, Miller, Allen, Boone. Any predictions for stage 3, James?
I hope that Ryan Wash is wrong, not in the sense of that I don't want the 86 to do well. I'm always interested in an alternate strategy. I'm always interested in kind of sticking your neck out. It's always exciting. But in terms of having as many runners as possible and seeing some good racing, full course yellow would not be what we would like to see here. I think this is going to be interesting. I think that Chris Carroll and John Perkins are going to be up near the front with Kilroe by the end of this one.
They're all set to go back through the gears here in the next moment. Remember, fuel range expected to be only 20, we've touched upon here this evening. So that puts the 86 in the needs a caution bucket. Gordon Miller Amonso still having to serve black flags, it looks like, coming up to the green flag. There goes the pace car, all set for the restart zone. Green flag is back out. And a bit of tire spin maybe. Not as great a start for the 41. Wash already up the track. Look at how they're staggering it, about 3 wide in the middle of the pack. Carroll already looking for second. Kilroe for the lead. 3 wide mid-pack, but the 41 gets alongside. Carroll, surprised to the checkup. There's the contact expected with the caution flag as we're back under yellow. Middle of the pack stacked up with Michael Boone.
Boone and Gibson. I was watching Gibson on the high side there, and I was trying to see what kind of speed the number 7, who's been running extremely strong all day long, got the pole earlier in qualifying. And I was trying to see what kind of space. So here we go, high side with the 2 green machines down low there. And then Boone's going to come on up. We're going to have our nose in there enough to get the 15 around. And now we're basically just passengers, both trucks just basically glued to the wall. And an unfortunate incident there.
Puts us right under the caution flag yet again. And this definitely is going to bring some people down. Cody Gibson just came down pit road now, but I believe pit road is closed.
Wow.
Not sure
Oh my goodness,
why.
so talk about bad to worse.
Has to be a damage fix. Right front fender is a little bit damaged. Was one of those towards the back. I believe he looks pretty okay. But this does take care of the fuel situation. Possibly he is a top off only. We'll have to go to the back again. Do you take the risk of losing track position here, James? Or do you gamble that you can make it to 20 to go?
I think gamble. I think that with the way that, again, with these restarts as well, that it just feels like it's getting trickier. It feels like, again, the drivers have more confidence. They're running different lines. They're not just using the inside or the outside. They're adjusting on the fly. And I think that some of these margins are getting so tight. As we saw, again, just trying to wash out onto, and again, the 42, Wellman. Wellman probably should be a running back, I think, because the juke moves from the 42, it is a constant art that the 42 truck is displaying here, as we see Miguel Gomez, Godet, Harmon, Lawson, Bruton, and others down pit road.
So mostly everybody coming down involved in incidents, so it looks like everyone's going to feel a little bit more comfortable making to the end of the stage at least. Or rather to the pit stop window, I should rather say. That in mind here, we're past halfway. Kilrow looking to try and get himself a victory. There's a lot of 2 race winners on the season, James, but no one in the 3-1 category. Right now, Kilrow is one of those that can definitely join that distinction here, as well as Kyle Wellman, along with Chris Carroll. You have 3 great chances up at the very front to be the first in the 3-1 club.
Always nice to have any kind of bragging rights over a competitor. And of course, bragging rights for wins is probably the best way. You can always brag about something else. You can always brag about having the top speed or something like that. But having the most wins on a season also usually puts you in good stead in the standings normally. Obviously, it's still quite a long season, and they're coming up to the chase. But again, as I've said before, a lot of driving still to do. There's a lot of action still to come as well in this league. So it's not over by any stretch, but there are some drivers who are more comfortable than others. And again, a driver not comfortable at all would be Cody Gibson, fighting for those 50 points, trying to get them up over that bubble. Driver currently on the rise. But there they are. You can see them basically on the back 2-3 rows or so. We are getting graded up Noah's Ark style to get this one back going.
So 2x2 we work and wash. Still one of those to watch here in the second spot with the fuel mileage. Laps led counter, by the way. Only 4 have led tonight. Gibson with 23, Kilroy with 15, Butcher Benjamin with 3. Ryan Wash has led 2 laps tonight. So not too many people, at the very least, have gotten the chance to take over the race lead in this one. It's been a bit of a challenge, if you will, to take over the top spot.
Yeah, it seems like, and obviously this is a super speedway and the draft is so important, but once you're able to get away, I mean, I say able to get away, once you have the pace to get away, you're kind of on your own, and the truck directly behind you in that second spot has other trucks trying to get around them, and they have the draft. So once you're by yourself, basically, my top tip is all you got to do is just put your foot down, lead the race by 2 seconds, and you're golden. That's the game plan for Kilroy, for Wash. Wellman as well, looking quite strong in second for the longest time.
So let's find out how this goes off the restart. Kilroy in control. Remember, the last restart had a bit of a bobble. This time, a little bit more stable. Back underway. Of note, Boone is officially out of the race after the last incident. That puts us to 25 running with 35 to go at the stripe. Right now, the battle is on for second. It's Wellman and Wash side by side. Can Wellman get himself clear? The answer is not yet. Chris Carroll's demanding Wellman gets the job done on the 86. Still not able to pass, and Carroll wants this done as quick as possible so they can at least try and have a chance for the race leader. This battle's turning pretty hard to do, so what do you do here, James, to get this job done? You can see just how much Carroll's trying to help out to the best of his ability to get this pass complete.
Yeah, Carroll's trying to give a good shove where they can. And here comes Wellman up the racetrack here. Is there any space on the outside for Wash? It looks like Wash has got the overrun, and now they're side by side there, making contact and potentially splitting them as Carroll. No, Carroll does not get the split, and Wellman slides up the racetrack. This is getting dicey, and Kilroy's still only about half a second in the lead. It's growing at the moment to 0.6. But the 41 is looking behind, going, what in the world is going on? Here we're going to have a look at it again. So up the racetrack, there's a bit of space, and then there was a bit of margin, but oh my goodness, it's so close. And then there's the big moment right there. We almost split both trucks. Had enough in it there as well. And now we see Chris Carroll in front of Ryan Wash.
Cody Gibson, fastest lap of the race, already moving spaces up. He's in 16th, 17th position, by the way. Battling with Arthur down the order. You see Wash is falling down it. He is getting swarmed. Now that the 86 has lost that upper hand, everybody's passing by him.
Van Hout on the outside here as well, trying to inflict more damage. You see John Perkins, Justin Ping getting around. Ryan Zimmerman still kind of in there just lurking, trying to see what Carroll's able to do with Wellman, see if they can go with them. And now, like Perkins may be in trouble here from Dustin Ping, trying to go down the inside in the 81.
Still, all of them trying to zip on by quickly. Van Hout stuck on the outside behind him. Looks like Wash able to stop some of the bleeding, albeit down for 6. You see some moments in the back of the field. Massengill again having a moment.
Cody Gibson, miles away from any of the trucks. Might get 2 for 1 there. Goes down the inside of the 12, I believe. Mark Arthur losing a spot. Oh, and as they have contact here on the exit. Gibson able to recover. Will they lose those 2 spots back? So it was a 2 for 1. Had to get a refund.
And that 7 continuing to chug its way through. It's going to be someone to watch for maybe later with the fuel, but the caution flag is out. 32 to go with the top of the yellow, and there was the 7 in it. Wow. Mike Massengill was the one to his outside. Was it the matter of one coming up? I think so. I think the 7 warped through him. Yep.
Basically the opposite accident of what happened to Cody Gibson last time around. Obviously Gibson being the one trying to come on over. And yeah, again, the right front of that 7 truck is once again not shaped correctly, I'll say.
Race control says it's on the 7 with the come up. Not in a window to make it. So we might see a lot of people stay out here as a result of the yellow flag. And with that being said, the field catching up to the pace car. So who's impressed you the most tonight and why, James?
Impressed me the most. Well, so Gibson's had incredible pace, obviously had way too many incidents for their liking, obviously. Kilrow once held the fastest lap of the race, may still yet get it with the way that they are trucking along. Wellman is lurking. Wellman has not led the race yet, and I think that 42, I think on one of these restarts, maybe the next one, on one of these restarts, if we get multiple from here on out, Kilrow's got to deal with Wellman in terms of positioning for the starts. And if Kilrow can't get the best start, we saw a really good one, a very early jump for the 41 last time around. I think that Wellman may be there. Chris Carroll seems to be almost like Peyton Manning, kind of calling the shots and making plays happen here, as you were saying, trying to orchestrate how this race is going to go. So Carroll seems to be on top of it, just doesn't have what they need. They all dive in extremely late. Guess who's the latest? Kyle Wellman is firing down pit road there. Wash stays out. Ping stays out. Van Hout stays out.
That's a little bit interesting on the choice here to come down with us outside a fuel window. Do you think it's just a just in case kind of a situation? Keep your cards open? What makes your decision here on coming down to pit road? It looks like in a lot of these cases they are going to take tires here too.
It could just be, I mean, obviously very, very late for potentially, flipping the stage in the proper sense, but trying to just have what you need underneath you and kind of let the race develop. It seems like there's a lot more action, and that these drivers are now, it seems that Ryan Wash was one of the drivers that, or not one of, was the driver that stayed out and was just hoping for something to happen. And of course, normally when that happens, basically you stay out as long as you can. It stays green for extremely long time, and then you come into the pits, and the next lap there's a big pile up. So I think that these drivers are no longer hoping for an incident. I think they're expecting another incident. So just having what you need underneath you might give you that track position when other drivers who did not come in. So you see a couple of onlookers having a good old time there at Long Pond in Pennsylvania. And I think that they're looking for track position later on if, and I think in their brains, when something goes wrong.
So, some extended pit stops, by the way, for drivers such as Gomez, Gillette, Godet. You have Massengill, you have Bruden. Munsos with the damage repairs, by the way. Also taking a lengthier stop was Gordon Miller. Ryan Wash this time by. That's a pit road closed. So, not sure why he came down the second time there.
Yeah, that hasn't gone to plan there, obviously. And Wash, again, a driver that has been up at the front, hasn't seemed to have the pace necessarily when it comes to drivers like Kilrow. Taylor Butcher Benjamin has had some decent pace, but has seemed to just be kind of caught up in traffic. Led a little earlier on, but didn't really get a good jump and had to pit later anyway because of basically being up there because they did not come into the pits. One of the latest cars to stop at the beginning of the race. We've seen Mark Arthur getting close to the top 10 as well. John Perkins currently occupying that 10th spot in the 33. And Perkins again. Perkins has been about 2 positions behind Wellman the entire race. And guess where John Perkins is right now? 2 positions behind Kyle Wellman there. So those two, kind of a pair it seems, kind of a package deal. So I'll be interested to see if they're able to make their way through the field.
So reset your top 10. It's Kilrow, Payne, Van Hout, Butcher Benjamin, followed by Harmon, Marr, Carroll, Wellman, Zimmerman, Perkins. The way the roulette now spits things out. And obviously, a lot to think about when it comes to who's going to come down under green, who's hoping for a caution, etc., etc. All set to go with the pace car dropping off. Some prioritizing track position, others prioritizing Goodyear Eagles. We're back underway. Good start for the inside line. Van Hout to a race high second. And already looking comfortable as the 41 up the front. Look at that for third though. Payne nearly got turned. This Hornet's Nest really wanted to find some spots here. 3 wide. Carroll amongst those on the inside. Tanner Marr right now getting himself shuffled. Wellman's already cleared by 1 truck. It's 3 wide into 3.
Perkins on the outside. This is looking really, really close. They finally shuffle back into 2 wide. No, they don't. Apologies. The 12 on the inside. Cody Miller, Brian Zimmerman getting involved as well. They all just scream across the line. The leader is half a second up the road. Dustin Ping has some company there. And the 10 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin really hustling Van Hout, who's lost out to Ping.
Really hustling to try and find something. See how much Carroll's amongst those able to try and clear by and will on Zimmerman. Zimmerman, as a result, dropping down to as low as about 11th to 12th position here at the train. P3 side by side also. Butcher Benjamin trying to battle Van Hout. Van Hout losing that track position. Butcher Benjamin is on the same cycle of tires. As he gets tight, Wellman having a dodge.
That's very, very close to the right rear of the 10. The 42 trying to back out of there, and that's going to open the door there for Harmon trying to come through. Marr trying to go down the inside as well. Going to be 3 wide. I feel like one of these trucks behind is going to try to make it 4. This is fantastic racing action. And oh, we're so close to 4 wide. Oh my goodness, Chris Carroll thinking about it. There's no space at all. They're back to 2 wide for a moment. Oh my goodness, this is insane here. As here they come again down the inside. It looks like potentially maybe Rick Thompson. Apologies if that's the 20 as Brian Zimmerman down the inside. And oh, we have somebody almost going around.
Carroll amongst those having some moments again with the apron. The 99 drops behind Zimmerman and Cody Miller. Wellman, his progression continues. Seems like his type of night so far. So it'll slice through parts of the pack several times. 25 to go. The first one who pitted is still on the move. See further out for the race lead. Payne on the inside. Kilrow on the outside. There goes Kilrow clearing back to hold on for now.
looks like up at the front, they're paired up. It's Kilrow and Ping, Wellman and Van Hout, Butcher Benjamin and Harmon. Of course, that's changing all the time. 42 slings it through. They are chucking these trucks through these corners here at Pocono. So you're right on board here with Kyle Wellman, who looks like they're doing more attacking than defending. Van Hout is still with us. And here we come for second.
Oh, that was a big block. There goes Wellman. Caution flag is out. And that was aggressive on the block.
It looked like they were potentially trying to just basically Kilrow might have been trying to break the toe, Ping trying just to follow in the nicest sense of the word, kind of blindly trying to follow, not thinking too much about the space behind. And I don't think that they really realized how quickly the 42 was coming. The 42 was about to get up the inside, and both trucks just moved to the inside. And yeah, that was all about trying to follow the toe and try not to lose the leader. And the 42 paying that price.
Awkward time for caution, too. We're a few laps outside the fuel window to be surely good. The time to get to the pace car here going to be about 22 to go when they start peeling down. Here's a look again. Right there. 42
That's
goes
That's a really kind of tricky angle, because from that angle, it looks horrendous, right? It looks like we've got a truck coming down our inside, and we just slammed the door shut while they got their leg in the door. But obviously, I think again, it doesn't really give the 42, it doesn't give Wellman their position back. But in terms of the intention appears to be that they were basically looking for the toe, trying to stick with the leader. Had a really good look, Ping did, down the inside of Kilrow. Kilrow able to clear later on. But this is a little more able to kind of see. But yeah, it looks like the 81 was just trying to get a decent run there. As Ping with the fastest lap. So Gibson's lost that bragging right there. As again, Justin, you said we are right on, not quite there, but right on the limit of, can I come in and top off and get back out there and finish this race without having to grit my teeth into dust?
It's obviously a situation where, in theory, you come down. But it's going to be a tight one. Remember, Kilrow and Co. needed this to be around this time, maybe a lap later, to help them caution-wise for the fuel. Thurman's supposed to have to peel down. John Perkins is not coming down. No, he almost dropped at the barrier. But you know who is staying out? Rick Thompson and Brad Lawson. They'll stay out, as well as Kyle Wellman with the spin. Everybody else is in.
Interested to see Wellman staying out. Obviously had that incident. So Justin, what's the thinking there from the 42, considering that Wellman had that issue? Obviously the tires are at least going to be overheated. They'll probably cool off during the caution here. But Wellman's just looking for track position. Is that kind of about the size of it?
Kind of has to be. At least that's at least my thought is hope for the caution flag, get the track position back. You only slid the tires a little bit. Now for Thompson and Lawson, that's a whole different story, where obviously you hope for a lot of chaos here. 81 EOL. Race control said they weren't sure if that was a block or didn't know the 42 was there, as we were discussing. So that's why Ping will go to the back regardless here.
Crazy how it can change from lap to lap. You're looking at the back of the race leader. You are having to look down the inside, and they're able to, Kilrow able to hang around the outside and clear to receiving an EOL. And of course, sitting in third was Wellman. Currently sitting in third again, but in a very different situation, not being able to come down, it seems. And John Perkins looking quite good. I think that 33, again, John Perkins has just been sitting there and waiting. It seems like they haven't really been involved with anything serious. I've seen that 33 3 wide at least 3 or 4 times tonight, and I have not seen a single incident involving Perkins with any other driver. They just seem to be running a really controlled race. Carroll as well running a race that was very, very composed, I would say. It seemed like they were in control, and even when trucks around them were having some issues and trying to kind of slide around, as I was saying, they're really throwing these trucks around. It seems like Perkins and Carroll and others are really, really have that poise in those tricky moments.
And so let's find out with 20 to go at the stripe how this goes. You have a few drivers hoping for carnage, maybe thinking about a tire set later. Then you have everybody else that is borderline making it. We had top-offs for Harmon, Carroll, Arthur, Bell, Payne. That all peeled down, took some extra fuel, and should just about be good on the gas based on earlier. Everyone else going to be within about a couple tenths on making it. But right now, Kyle Wellman looks to be in one of the better positions here for the restart. If he can get around those who stayed out here, or rather hold back some of the drivers and get a caution, if outside of that, it's anyone's guess how this is going to go. 20 to go at the stripe. Pace car is off. The field is ready. The field is green. And Lawson didn't get a great jump there. 42. Kyle Wellman looking to clear on by for second. Perkins is the first, who was on the top off, looking to attack right now. He cuts to the bottom. Look at some of the contact. We have some problems down the backstretch. Coming out of turn 1 up to 2. We stay green. William Brunin amongst those on apologies. They're still trying to wreck with Collins. Got in the back of Carroll. One more is in the wall. That is Kelly. We still stay green.
Chris Carroll threaded that needle. I saw that earlier on, or we all saw that earlier on. It's again, they're 3 wide further back, still trying to fight for position. The 12 in that tussle. And they're still 2 wide, trying to find some space. This is really, really tight stuff. And Chris Carroll is going to have to make a decision here. Actually, about 3 or 4 decisions. So we get an enormous shot there. But there's still some trucks going a bit slowly. The 12 way up the racetrack.
Arthur trying to hold on to his 12 machine, if he will, trying to figure out a way to get something going. All that's to say, drivers who stayed out are still 1, 2, 3. You're on the racetrack. Drivers like Perkins and Cody Miller and Brian Zimmerman. Amongst us looking, there is Kilrow. He is on the move. Yet again, the 41 looks fast.
I think they've made about 3 or 4 spots. That's a really close maneuver here. Zimmerman slotting that 28 right in a truck-sized position and able to get up to the high side, assuming where they want it, considering how hard they go. Dustin Payne, meanwhile, setting the fastest lap, but Dalton Kilrow making up 3 or 4 spots already. We see here Carroll trying to go 3 wide again. The 99 loves to overtake trucks. This looks like this is not a hobby here. The 99 is all over the back of any truck around them. As here we go for the lead.
Wellman clears on by the 42. Able to get to the front. Still needs some luck of a caution, though, to make it on gas. Munsel's moving forward again as Kilrow now up in the top 5 in the 41. First of those on fresh tires. Still can't clear.
There's 18 to go. I cannot see with the naked eye anybody saving any fuel. All I see are trucks going about as flat out as possible, trying to stay in line, looking for opportunities. Any bobbles, any wall strikes are going to try and take a couple of miles an hour off the truck in front, either getting down the inside. Okay, this is right after the restart.
Yep, 4 is in. Yep, and that would explain why. Hard contact with the right front. So that is now putting us down to 22, still running on the racetrack. Kilrow has fallen back down to 6th again, behind Cody Miller, who's been able to slip his way back on 5. See Taylor Butcher Benjamin, back to work goes the 10. The contact earlier, he's stuck in a bit of a traffic jam, if you will.
And look back at Brian Dees there. Van Hout going around the outside of the 17. Now we're going to try and do the same, try to pick up the toe. They are all still fighting for position. Now John Perkins trying to have a look here at Lawson. Perkins not quite able to do so. And here comes Kilrow. So Kilrow and Perkins will be side by side. Who's going to get to Lawson first, if either of them are going to be able to?
Answer is no one yet. 15 to go. Kilrow able to get in front of Perkins and get a good distance, actually, with Cody Miller also attacking him. Here comes the 41. The Team 5 machine. We'll see Kilrow wait for a moment. Looks like Kilrow's going to have to reset in our corner, though. Took his line on the entry. We'll try it on the exit, though. Look at the cut. Gets alongside the 85. Had to turn hard to get the inside.
Loves that late apex. Loves that late maneuver. Has so much confidence in the truck right now with the freshest tires. And Kilrow on the move. 15 to go. Plenty of time if you're in the 41 camp. And Wellman is not broken away. We've seen a handful of leaders, JP, that have gone half a second, maybe 3/4 of a second. And with Cody Gibson earlier on, almost 2 seconds up the road for the leader. We are less than 1/4 of a second up at the front, and Kilrow is still looking.
Kilrow looking for a place to build up the run. Dustin Pinamonso's in a gaggle with Arthur and company. Some of these drivers about 10th, 13th all night have been fighting and fighting even more so. It has never really calmed down back here. P2, Kilrow is there, meanwhile, alongside Thompson. And Thompson lets him go. Expect some give and take here. You have to think Wellman giving it to Kilrow when Kilrow gets there. Or we get a caution before we even get to that point. No yellow yet. Cars are on the top of the racetrack. The trucks bring us under yellow with Alan Amonso's in it. We're under yellow. And this is a big one.
Perkins involved as well there. Wow. That was, so first of all, that was not a small hit by any stretch there for Levi Allen up into the top. I think Carroll was involved in this run here. This is what we were having to look at here. The 99 trying to find a space, trying to split these trucks. Again, trying to go 3 wide. Oh, and Perkins. And then just said 79 does not collect anybody on the initial strike into the wall. Here may have gotten dumped into that. And we can now see the smoke trail as they head on to pit road.
And now, this is the caution that Wellman, Rick Thompson, Brad Lawson, we're waiting to see if it would happen. Likely going to see those drivers potentially get some tires here, James, but do you make up enough spots here? Here's Ping's look from the yellow flag round.
Seems so hard. Oh my goodness. Oh, and then just tags the left front. That's why they got sent. I thought there might be a potential to try and split a couple trucks and just got loose trying to dodge through at 140. But no, it was contact. Lead again. Oh, yeah, it was just kind of a lazy left-hand spin. Probably wouldn't be able to save it anyway, but it would not have been nearly as bad. And the 42 potentially goes down pit road. I've seen that game before, but they actually do this time. So Wellman, as you said, JP, probably coming down for tires.
Looks like everybody's coming down. 34, Perkins gets the penalty cause of caution. Race control is ruled. As let's find out who takes tires, who does not. Looks like Kilrow will actually bolt on some right sides, the very minimum. Same for Wellman. Break up or finish their pit stops. A 5-second pit stop for Dustin Ping. Wellman's taking 4. A lot of people taking 4. We're off and away with Dustin Ping in the race lead. Chris Carroll took 2 tires. Just about everybody else took 4. How do you feel about Ping taking 0?
I'm fascinated with the exits of the 81 from here on out in this race, JP. I'm going to be watching them. It's going to be very interesting, especially if you have somebody who is able to get onto the outside of the 81 if Ping's able to kind of sit down low, which we haven't seen work that well. But we also know that Kilrow likes that cutback as well out of 3. And I think that this is going to be really, really difficult for the 81. The likes of Wellman, Kilrow, Carroll has been extremely quick. Butcher Benjamin's been making some serious moves there as well. I think that those 3 behind you. Ping has also been quite quick. Obviously has the fastest lap of the race by just a little, by a very small margin. But I think that Dustin Ping is going to have a lot of work cut out for that 81 truck. And I would not... I think that Wellman, Kilrow, and Carroll being able to get around the 81 is probably more likely than the 81 fighting off all 3 of those trucks at this point.
Let's find out how this goes here with everybody now good to go on gas in theory. Dustin Ping, Kyle Wellman on the front row. Dalton Kilrow, Chris Carroll, row 2. Row 3, Rick Thompson. Alongside Brian Zimmerman, Brad Lawson, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, row 4. Van Hout and rounding out your top 10 starting spots here will be Mark Arthur. We're almost geared up for the 10 lap to go, Mark James. You were going to say.
I was just going to say, so Taylor Butcher Benjamin and Mark Arthur are line astern at the moment, 8th and 10th on the outside. And I'm just thinking that I believe it's Taylor Butcher Benjamin that has that face on the rear of the 10, if I'm not mistaken. And Mark Arthur's sitting there going, sorry, go ahead.
He has a face. It's not the face referred to earlier. It would be the face
I
of
was
Santa
just thinking,
Claus.
Gotcha. It looked like Taylor Butcher Benjamin is looking behind going, oh my gosh, this My Little Pony truck. And the 12's looking in front going, oh my gosh, this face in front of me. So it just seems kind of funny that they might be rolling eyes at each other for their liveries.
Howdy ho indeed, I guess you can say. But we're coming up to 10 laps to go. As Mark Arthur, who apparently heard the conversation, says, it's Christmas in July after all. Taylor Butcher Benjamin says it's whatever you want it to be. Is that code for I'll help you or code for I'll pass you? We'll find out. 10 to go, Blazing Pedals. Getting set for the final stretch from Pocono. Checkups on the outside. And Butcher Benjamin didn't even get close to the rest of the outside line. We're underway in the front row with a good launch. Payne's got damage from earlier still. Wellman passes him easily. All it took was a gear shift and a timing. And Chris Carroll nearly spins it. Great save in front of the field for the 99. Only loses 1 spot to Zimmerman, who goes for second. Everybody pushing the tempo here. They all rumble their way off through 2. Kilrow was the one who made the contact here with Chris Carroll. They're lined up, and here's how. Great save from Carroll, and there's a reason. Been able to be the most consistent driver of the season so far. He's now looking for the 3rd spot. Here's a look again. You can see he lifted off the gas, James, to make sure he didn't hit any much more, but it could have been much worse. Kilrow is actually trying to pass him.
Yeah, they're back together here. Oh, and now it looks like the 99 trying to get up underneath Ping and able to, oh, and Ping well into the wall twice there as well. And now we have 25 going around. Oh my goodness. Rick Thompson.
Rick Thompson hard of the wall. We're back under yellow. This will rebunch up the field. Thompson was running in 6th in the Speed Mafia machine.
That truck almost flipped just now. Obviously, serious left side damage. That truck almost did a breakdance move just now.
Yeah, let's see right here. See, it did get air. His first start of the season, been a roller coaster. Kilrow involved those involved, and that is big for Kilrow because he had a truck that might have had a chance for the win here. Oh, that's with Payne in the wall in the first place, too. So obviously the truck for the 81 has got significant damage. It's got the fast slapping does, but doesn't have the speed now. But race control just said they're giving it to the 41.
I think that's quite a close call there. And again, a lot of different factors going into that type of incident. Well, Kyle Wellman wasn't looking like they were in the best position. Obviously, has had speed, has made some decent maneuvers. I'd say decent. Currently up at the front still. Didn't lead in that first flurry of stages that we saw, but is currently leading now, obviously. Has Zimmerman in tow, or Zimmerman alongside Carroll in tow. And currently Kilrow is still involved, although again they're having a look at, as you said, the 41's involvement with what was going on with the 81 and the 25 as well. You have a couple of drivers heading down. That's going to be 41 to 81 for damage, I would assume. And Chris Carroll looking good. Chris Carroll, again, with that save, if Chris Carroll's able to pull off a podium here after being so dicey out there with all these high-risk maneuvers, Carroll may have the save of the day in my book. Trying to hang on to that here. And have another look here.
Actually didn't have to do too much, did he?
It looks easy, but please don't ask me to do that, because I will dump it 100 times out of 100.
And so we're coming up to 6 to go. Next time by, lights are still on the pace car, by the way. Have a 5-lap dash. Dustin Payne was amongst those who did peel down this caution. Same for Cody Miller and Rick Thompson, all damage repair. And we were talking before, if Wellman was able to pass by some of the others with his call, got the caution, which he did, he'd be a threat to try and get a win. He's been quick throughout much of the evening at 42. He's led just 8 laps. But now with one of the biggest adversaries in the middle of the field, it could get interesting. But remember, the Blackhawk machine of Chris Carroll is right behind him for the restart.
Yeah, this really is going to be nip and tuck right at the end. Obviously, Kyle Wellman if they're able to continue leading and lead all the way to the flag, if that scenario ends up happening, and Wellman will have led about the same amount of laps as stage 1, but it will obviously come at the point where you'd want to lead. And Van Hout also up there as well. Noah Van Hout in the 00 has been in the top 10, I believe, a majority of the day. Just been usually in the back half of the top 10. I believe was on the front row at one point. Thanks to some strategy calls and some adjustments with their positioning. So, again, not too many laps to go once the lights go out and we get back under green. But Van Hout is in the mix here. And in terms of a podium, I mean, I could see maybe the top 6 or 7 or so having a good look right on the restart and developing something there. But again, I'm expecting Wellman to get a pretty good jump here. And Wellman's looked quite strong. Again, weaving around all the time. Probably the most antsy driver on the grid, it seems.
The field just about set for a 5-lap dash. Do we stay green, or do we see chaos reign supreme? Let's find out together, shall we? Kyle Wellman over Brian Zimmerman. Ready to control this field. Chris Carroll, Brad Lawson, Noah Van Hout, followed by Butcher Benjamin, Dees, Arthur, Harmon, and Massengill. Getting closer and closer for the quest for a championship. Legacy Atlanta next week here on Green Flag. Gonna add a whole different flavor of racing. But for now, the lush greenness of the Pocono Mountains. About to see what spits up next. We're back underway, and a good restart for the inside line for the first 2 drivers down there. Brian Zimmerman, however, does have some good fire off for second. Zimmerman trying to have a little bit more throttle on exit. Carroll takes the gap, fills it. Said he was closing it on the radio. Here comes Butcher Benjamin amongst those on the move. Couple others trying the bottom. See just how much some of the drivers are trying to work the bottom of the racetrack here. Find a way to get those lines to work. Coming up 4 laps to go, with Wellman still up over Zimmerman.
The top 3 are looking strong at this point. Loss of Butcher Benjamin and Mark Arthur together there. So squabbling further on back. And it looks like Chris Carroll might be the closest truck to the next truck in front. Potentially playing the patience game. Well, not the patience game there. The 28 goes down low for the lead of the race. And what can Wellman do on the outside? They're almost close. They're so close to touching there. Wellman has plenty of room. And here comes Carroll.
Carroll trying to find a way to go. He's got himself up the second. Now Zimmerman on the attack back. And contact. Zimmerman bouncing off the door of the 99. Both keep it straight, but look at the side draft. 4 miles an hour slower than your leader going into 3. Carroll needs to clear if he wants a chance to get this Wellman. They're still fighting side by side. The gap's grown up by half a second from this.
Wellman is on full attack, putting both of the left side tires over the apron, trying to use all of the available space. Chris Carroll, meanwhile, has been able to clear Zimmerman. Lawson trying to come back at the 28 around the outside. Let's see how this plays out. Plenty of overlap and plenty of margin to the wall, as well as Carroll trying to figure out who they want to help. And slotting into the back is Zimmerman here. Butcher Benjamin on the way as well. This is incredibly tight here with 3 to go.
Oh, a slide for the leader. Wellman from the race lane lost it. Here comes Carroll. A hit to the flat for Wellman costs him the win. It's Carroll in front coming at 2 to go. Oh, they're crashing.
Oh, there's contact as well.
Lawson, door slam with Wellman. They're still slamming. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 touches as Zimmerman tries to drive by them all.
28 says, thank you very much. Oh, the 42 almost into the back there. Able to check up, but that's going to bring the 10 and the 12. Oh, it looks like Wellman, it's falling apart here at the end. 12 getting around here as well, so we're going to get a replay. Again, using that, I was just saying it, incredible catch, first of all. That was exactly what the 42 is doing, using that inside line as hard as possible, trying to set qualifying lap times, and it backfired.
Big mistake in a big situation. Cost them a chance for the win, and for the first time all evening, it's Chris Carroll in the race lead, coming up to the white flag, this time by. The Blackhawk machine is up at the point. Can he hold back the Five Kings teammate to Wellman, Brian Zimmerman? Look who's in third also. You have Lawson looking for one of his best runs of the year, Mark Arthur alongside. Neither side giving in. Arthur needs to side draft. He's not attempting it though. Will he go for a deep lunge into two? No. Goes back in line as the 85 plants and he gets the run. Up front, a wall scrape for Chris Carroll and Brian Zimmerman. They look stable for those spots. You have Ryan Walsh gaining up positions, but your points leader, Chris Carroll, was in the hunt much of the evening. He comes up clutch late. Your new wins leader is Chris Carroll. He gets it at Pocono. Chris Carroll, Brian Zimmerman, Brad Lawson on the podium. Tempers are flaring involving the 41 of Kilroe. And what an end. A lot of people being in pain to end this one off as everybody wants to go away from Pocono. Let's see what happened here for Kilroe's temper. Or was this temper? Well, that was a tight gap he tried to fill.
Yeah, that was a, I believe the game is ping pong is what they were playing there. That was a lot of right hand down on a straightaway there, and obviously trying to run that low line. As there we have 42 saying a what's up to the 99 there. And Carroll, again, we talked about the poise. We talked about how many moves the 99 had to get done, and was not running at the front really that much. The 99 really had to work their way through. We spoke about how difficult it is to overtake at Pocono. We were basically spoiled with a fantastic race here.
And no burnout looks like for the 99. Now he does it.
Chris Carroll keeping us in suspense in more ways than one.
He's trying to burn it out. An attempt is being made for his third win of the season high out of any driver here in Blazing Pedals. As we'll take a look at the unofficial race results, Carroll, Zimmerman, and Lawson on the podium. Speak of those drivers in just a few moments. Mark Arthur rounds out the top four. Also joining the conversation was Noah Van Hout with a impressive top five to end. Ryan Walsh charges up to sixth after beat up the front to back, the front to the back. Kyle Wellman from his slide goes from a chance to win to seventh. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Mike Massengill, John Perkins all in the top 10.
11th was Brian Dees there. Larry Bell coming home 12th. Trevor Harmon 13th. 14th was Dalton Kilroe after leading a handful of laps. Brad Collins in the 67 and 15th. William Bruton 16th. 17th was Rick Thompson running into some serious trouble, as was Dustin Ping with a handful of setbacks. Michael Kelly comes home 19th. Cody Miller bringing the end to the top 20.
21st goes to the 89 machine, Miguel Gomez. They finishing down there as the last lead lap. Allen finishes as a DNF, as well as everyone else from here. Marr, Miller, Gibson, on some of the drivers who showed some speed earlier, especially Gibson, but it didn't last. Boone, Hall, Fred Thompson, Scotty Stevens, and a big one, Chris Berg, 30th after the win last time out. And 2 DNSs, Aaron Bockover, Alex Minette did not take the grid. Look, Dr. Bonner, you're ready here tonight, here in this one in Blazing Pedals. As able to put together a celebration is Chris Carroll. Reminder, post-race coverage in this series is brought to you by Flying Pig Tavern, a small-town local tavern located in Fairburn, Ohio. They make made-to-order pizza as well as some specialty pizzas and special events on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Your race winner is standing on by for the celebrations here this evening. Chris Carroll is the one who gets the job done. Chris didn't lead until late, but you come up clutch. How are you feeling after this one?
Well, Justin, that was ugly out there. That was a scary race. The racing in those trucks, man, it forces us to kind of race like morons, and you know, I'm wore out. That was tough coming from the back a bunch of times, and I kind of saved my resources for the end. I took 2 instead of 4 at the end because it felt like it was tight, and I figured it helped me turn. Got the track position, but it was tough sledding in the middle of the field all night long.
Yeah, you had a couple moments there towards the end of the race, too, I believe, on the clips here. Amongst those with some of the slides, you had to make multiple saves tonight. How difficult was it to try and maintain the control of that truck?
A lot. The wind, you know, there's a lot of good drivers out there, and there's not a whole lot of space. And then the wind's pulling you around, and they're pushing in the air, and they're getting loose when someone gets up behind you. So, you know, there's not a whole lot of, you can't really pass there if guys are up to speed, and you gotta wait for the tires to go. But with the wrecks, you couldn't, and you get stages. So guys were having to get everything they could get, and those trucks were really, really, really hard to control. It was, you missed your mark by half a truck or a quarter of a truck getting in, and it wouldn't turn, and you slide up, and then the air tugs on you, and then the guy gets you behind loose, and he's got a brake, and it stacks everyone up. And I could write a book out there, Justin Prince.
So on that note, adds on to your points lead. So there's that part. How do you feel about Legacy Atlanta / Echo Park next week?
It's going to be a lot of the same we saw tonight. There's going to be guys that understand what they need to do to get their truck to stay in their lane, and there's guys that are not. You try your best to be around the guys that don't understand it, and you try and run with the guys that you can. And then you all shoot for the same hole coming to the finish line and hope you don't come back on the hook, and maybe you get a win. I
should probably mention it's the Legacy one. Not
the Legacy one. Oh, that'll be a different story. That'll be
yeah.
We'll get a little separation, and we'll get a little racing done there. I think these guys are maybe tonight didn't look like it because we're all forced in a box, but these guys are all good enough. We'll get some long runs there and some racing done.
Any shots you'd like to give here tonight?
Yeah, you for the great interview. Got to thank my friends and family for watching. Got lots of people watching now. It's a lot of fun. Got to thank BPL, giving us a platform to do what we love to do. Got to thank Tanner Marr for getting me into all these leagues. I wouldn't be having as much fun as I have without him. I got to thank Brian Zimmerman at usafirearms.com. I got to thank Mike at Ohio and Indiana Roofing, and I got to thank all my teammates here at Blackhawk Motorsports. That thing's getting longer, Justin. It's hard for a guy like me. I'm getting old.
Congratulations on the win tonight, Chris.
Thanks, sir.
Chris Carroll gets the job done here tonight. No Brian Zimmerman yet. I think he's still in debrief with Kyle Wellman or possibly watching some NASCAR with them. But Brad Lawson is caught up with James.
Brad, it's James up here in the comms, but you got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Excellent. Well, we didn't see too much of you up at the front until later on. You had a decent restart, and you were able to hang in there. You lost a couple of spots there, and then you got them all back right at the death. How was it from your perspective?
It was a good little run there. Like you said, I got a pretty decent restart and was able to gain back what I'd lost there on previous battles. But all in all, it was a good run for the truck here, and we had a lot of fun in this deal. Haven't been Haven't been back in a while. First race back in quite a while, actually, and was not expecting the run that I had today. But hey, I'll take it any day.
Please feel free to set me straight if I'm wrong, but I assume you weren't on Plan A the entire race there. When did you have to switch, if you had to? Did you have to switch to Plan B or C, and how early did that happen?
Honestly, didn't have much of a plan going in until about lap 50. It seemed like there was a caution or a stage break, something like that, around lap 50, and I'd done some calculations there. I knew it was going to be fairly close, and I'd have fresh tires toward the end, so I decided to make my pit stop then and go forward and try to maintain or gain as much as I could. So I knew we were going to be on fresh tires. It'd be our last set, so it was kind of a little bit of a gamble if we had a late race caution, but as far as that goes, we had some good runs there. Wasn't really at the front, like you said, a lot, and I kind of snaked my way through the field and got a lot of positions on staying out. The staying out on the last caution, or the next to last caution, I guess, really helped me. It was me and Rick in the front, and kind of maintained a little bit there, and there was a quick caution after that, so that kind of played into my favor. Everybody else pitted, and so I gained my track position mostly there and was able just to hold on to it.
As the chase gets closer and closer, we're heading to Legacy Atlanta next time out. How are you feeling about that one?
I like Atlanta, especially the Legacy version. It seems like it races well. It's not as hammered down as the new Atlanta, so looking forward to that, and hopefully have a good showing.
Anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, first and foremost, Team 5 Motorsports, Joey Neese, he runs this deal, and Trevor Harmon, he raced with us tonight, Willie, a lot of the guys that we race with. I haven't really raced a lot with these guys here lately, but it's good to kind of come back to that. Sotomayor Performance Horses, Andrea Lawson Photography, BL Sim Design, and Mark Arthur and the guys here at Blazing Pedals. Also, just a shout out to Kyle Wellman. I know we usually have a lot of hard-fought battles and things like that. He didn't really see it my way. I didn't see it his way tonight. So it's the way it kind of goes sometimes. But he wasn't real pleased with me, and I wasn't happy with him. So that's just the way it goes. But we'll throw that under the rug and hopefully have some good hard racing there next week. And who knows? We'll see what happens. But always fun. Congrats to Chris on the win, and Zimmy. It's good seeing Zimmy here in P2. It's always fun to see him race, and another one of those BL Sim Design trucks up there in the front too. So good to see him do good. I'm a big fan of Brian Zimmerman, and raced with him for years. So yeah, thank you guys in the booth, and I appreciate the interview.
Brad, thanks so much for joining us here in the interview, and congratulations on P3.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
That's Brad Lawson taking the time to speak with us as well as a race winner. Brian Zimmerman's mic is apparently dead, so that is why he is unable to join us. Like, thank everyone for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage here on Green Flag TV. Your final thoughts on tonight's action here, James, as Pocono definitely put on an intriguing show. And definitely an attrition-filled one, but Carroll, 3 laps led, wins the race.
Yeah, all in a day's work, I guess. No, that was a nail-biter, and I really couldn't tell. I think I made a couple of wild predictions, and some things were based on math, and some things were absolutely not based on math. And I think a majority of them came true, so I don't know if anything's my fault or not, but again, we had some incidents as well that were not great, but overall, Pocono was a fantastic round here at Blazing Pedals, and really looking forward to the next one.
And so, with that being said, 7:30 p.m. the start time here in this one. We'll see how things go at the Legacy version of Atlanta Motor Speedway, as it was called at the time. What should be an interesting night here on Green Flag TV. But on that note, it's just about time to say goodnight for this evening's coverage. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in for tonight's coverage. A shout out to Ohio and Indiana Roofing, Flying Pig Tavern, and shortstop for their support of Blazing Pedals. From a co-announcer James Noonan, for our producer Justin Owens, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You've been watching tonight's coverage of Blazing Pedals. We'll see you next time from Hampton, Georgia.